Hello everyone, welcome to our 𝐬𝐧 Group 2024. We hope that you are excited to know all about the labor agreement pathway aged care workers. Get ready to meet the expert who will get you through your journey today. This section we have Preeti Puri. Preeti serves as a director of Aussizz Group Journal, bringing extensive experience and expertise to her role. With the distinguished care spanning several times at Aussizz Group, she is widely respected for her professionalism and success in Australian immigration matters. She is known for her professionalized approach, guiding clients through complex immigration process with ease. Preeti's leadership and dedication have contributed significantly to the success and reputation of Aussizz Group, making her a trusted figure in the migration industry. That's all. Relax and enjoy the section. You are in good hands. Now, I'd like to pass you our migration agent, Preeti. You can start it.
Thank you. Thank you, Quena. Hello, everyone. And I'm Preeti. I'm the migration agent. And I would be taking up the session today for the labor agreement pathway for the aged care workers. So, as I mentioned, I am going to cover about aged care industry labor agreement stream. So there have been a lot of people, they have been asking these many questions always to us that what a labor agreement is under the aged care industry. So basically the Department of Home Affairs have already negotiated this agreement. This is basically considered as an industry specific, where it is negotiated between the employer and the Australian government, which will let the employer to recruit the agreed number of skilled visas. So what these agreed numbers are. So for example, I'm an employer. I have got my the business running, which is under the aged care industry. Now, we have to be very careful when we are talking about an aged care industry because this does not cover the disability sector. Okay, so even in the disability sector, they are taking care of the people who are aged, right? It still doesn't cover. So basically, in a nutshell, it is not for the NDIS providers that it is negotiated for. This agreement is negotiated only for the aged care purposes. Okay. In this one, the first thing that the employer has to do is get the negotiation, which is already in place, and then they have to go to the department for the number of seats that they needed. Okay. So what this agreement basically means, this means that if the employer is going to sponsor you, they can sponsor you for two different kind of visas. One is the 482 and the second one is 186 under the TRT. 482 is a temporary visa and the TRT is 186 TRT is a permanent residency. They have considered this as a priority visa processing. What we have seen is when we are lodging these visa applications, they are being granted very quickly, and a few of them have even been granted in less than in 20 days or 10 days time frame also. So there is a priority processing for these applications. There is a lower English language requirement, which I will cover in my further slides, that how much English requirement is there for a 482 visa application, and for the 186, it's been different. There is a lower income requirement, which is at least 51,222 or the market salary rate, whatever is the higher. Now, what a market salary rate is. Now, generally, with the lower income requirements, what do we mean? For any 482 or 186 visas, there is a TISMIT, which is the temporary migration, the threshold, which the employers cannot offer you the work below the TISMIT. When they are offering you an employment, it must be at the minimum TISMIT level. Currently, the TISMIT is 70,000, which is again increasing after 1st of July to approximately 73,100, right? Now, in this visa, if the employer is going to sponsor you, there is a lower TISMIT requirement, which is 51,222, which is for the current financial year. Since the TISMIT is increasing, if there would be an increase in this one or not, which we are not aware or not that we have heard about it, and I guess because the negotiation is already been done, it should remain the same, but even if it increases, because the current TISMIT is increasing by $3,000, maybe on the pro rata basis it may, but we do not have any information about that yet. Then next is the market salary rate. So the employer can either pay you 51,222 or the market salary rate. The market salary rate is if they have got any the advertisements that have been going around for the similar position and in the same region, and they have been offering about $80,000 to the position of a support worker, which we are going ahead, let's say, then your employer should also offer you the market salary rate. They do not want that the foreign employees that they should be underpaid according to what is the rate in the market at the moment for these ones, for the similar positions which has been advertised. If there is any Australian working in the company and that's been paid higher with a similar skill set, then those should also be matched. Now we talk about the aged care industry labor agreement stream, right? What occupations can be sponsored? The occupations that can be sponsored under this stream are a nursing support worker, personal care worker, aged or disabled carer. So now here, as we mentioned that, yes, it is a disabled carer which is mentioned here, which is a part of it, but they cannot be an NDIS provider. They need to be the aged care provider. Okay, so now we talk about the subclass 482 or a 186 labor agreement stream. So this application is a 3-stage process. Let's say that now we know that this application exists. What are the visa subclasses for those? Now, how can we lodge this application? To lodge this application, the employer, the first thing that they have to do is to apply for the labor agreement. That's the stage 1. Once the labor agreement is approved, nomination can be lodged, and subsequently the visa application can be lodged. The requirements of the labor agreement and nomination is to be met by the employer, and all the visa application requirements is to be met by the employee. The visa applicants can be sponsored from onshore, can be sponsored from offshore. It doesn't matter as long as they meet the requirements. The location of an applicant does not matter. So let me tell you more about the labor agreement, the visa stages that we have it here. When we apply for the labor agreement, the majorly important aspect of this one is that the employer should have an MOU with the union. Most of the employers, and that's basically the most important part of it. Once you get an MOU signed with the union, and there's a back and forth, or there has to be a membership with the union for the labor for the aged care industry, then only the labor agreement can be approved, which is the most important thing for any of an employer to go ahead with. Okay. As I said, there are the 2 pathways for it. There's 182 and a 482 and a 186 pathway. Now we talk about the stream requirements. Now, what is the criteria for a visa applicant? As I've already told you, for a labor agreement, they need to have an MOU signed with the union. Once, let's say that that's in place, then what does the applicant needs to have it? What is their criteria? What are their requirements? So for the 482 visa, which is basically a temporary visa, the applicants can only need to have either a qualification, which is equivalent to a certificate 3 or higher, and which should be highly relevant to the industry, or let's say, which is basically, let's say, Cert 3 in aged care. If you have that one and no experience, you're meeting the requirement. If you do not have a qualification, but you have got a 12 months of a full-time experience or an equivalent part-time, which will be 2 years part-time experience, then also you are meeting the requirement on the basis of the skills and experience requirement. Okay. Then there is another requirement for this one. If your qualification or work experience is obtained overseas, let's say I have done a certificate 3 in aged care, but my certificate is not issued by an Australian institute. I have done that from my home country or from overseas. Then the applicant needs to have a skills assessment. The skills assessment authorities for respective occupations are ANMAC and ACWA. So we have got both the skills assessment authorities for the respective of those ones, and we can get it done from there, right? So what are the English requirements? The English requirements is for the minimum English requirement for a 482 visa is 5 overall in an IELTS and minimum 5 in speaking and listening and 4.5 in reading and writing. The test can be undertaken within the last 3 years. Aged care industry labor agreement stream. Now we talk about the 186 visa requirements. So in a 482 visa, we need either a qualification or an experience. However, for a 186 visa, which is directly the permanent residency, the requirement is certificate 3 or higher. You must have that one. And 2 years of a full-time work experience or equivalent part-time, which means again 2 years of a full-time, which is 38 hours a week, or equivalent part-time is minimum 20 hours a week. The English requirement is again higher in this one, which is 5.5 overall or equivalent to the PT. And the age limitation is the 45 years old for this 186 direct entry. Now to how an employer can get this labor agreement. To get for this one, the first thing, as I said, they need a memorandum of understanding, which is MOU with the relevant industry. Their relevant industries are Australian Nursing and Midwifery Federation, Health Services Union, and United Workers Union. These are the relevant industries. They need to have a memorandum of understanding signed by them between the employer and the employee. If they have the MOU signed, then we can apply for the labor agreement application. No issues for that. This application is a back and forth. The union is talking about that there are not just the foreign employees in the company. There is a policy for the Australian employees, and they do not want that the jobs of an Australian people are being taken away. So they need to make a balance in this one, and the enterprise agreement, whatever they have it. So it's a bit of a negotiation that goes between the union and the employer. And we have seen few of the employers were able to get their union registration MOUs signed very quickly. The others have taken very long, and few of them are even still trying to get the negotiation done with the MOU industry. Once this is done, basically we just say majority of the work is done. Then it's just a process of nomination and visa application, which is definitely being prioritized by the department quite a lot. So this is where I am finishing this one, but let me add few more things into this requirement, where I have generally seen the common asked questions. So I'll cover those ones before I started taking other questions for this. Firstly, the people are talking about that for a nomination, what do we need? So basically, as I said, it's a 3-step process. The labor agreement is done, then in the nomination, and in the labor agreement, at the same time, when they are negotiating with when the MOU is signed, they send the application to the department, and the employer tells them that I basically, let's say, need 100 people, which would be forecast within the next 5 years within the industry, within their own company, they would be needing those many people. Then they have a ceiling for each year, And those ceilings could be that in the first year, they can have the 50 people, and then in the second year, they need another 25, and then in the third, they would need 10, because the requirements keep diminishing as the ones who are already there, that once you have just got the agreement signed, maybe you've got a higher requirement of hiring the foreign nationals at that point of time, and later it just gets reduced within the passage of time. At any stage, if the employer sees that their quota is finishing and still they have still not been able to fill their labor shortages, there can be a variation in the agreement also. For example, they got 50 people in the first year. In the first 8 months only, their positions have been filled. Then they have to provide an additional variation to the department that why they wanted to bring the second year towards the first year only, or vice versa. We needed first 50 positions in the first year, but only 30 have been filled. Those 20 are left. Through a variation, we can request them to put it towards the next year also. Okay. In this, I would also like to say that there is a TRT pathway also for a 186 visa. Okay, so there are the two ways. If I've got a 482 visa, this is not a permanent residency. How will I get a permanent residency? For this one, there is a TRT pathway under this labor agreement stream, which needs the employee to work with the employer as a holder of a 482 under the same stream, under the same occupation for 2 years, and then the employer can sponsor them for the 186 visa. Few employers, when you already have an experience also, they are not willing to sponsor the applicants for a 186 direct entry at some stage, because they need a commitment from an employee to work with them for 2 years before they promise them for the permanent residency. So this is a common practice that we have seen. People have been getting onto those ones quite a lot. All right. Thank you so much. And I appreciate you coming for the conclave and listening to us. And stay tuned. We'll keep coming up with more informative sessions. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, Preeti. Thank you. Bye-bye.